When you look at all the legends that we've seen help grow certain sports, achieve monumental victories, rack up championships at an alarming rate, some names come to mind right off the top. MJ, Gretzky, Mays, LeBron, Pele, Jim Thorpe. But none of these individuals have had the effect on their sport like Tiger Woods has. A man that has taken golf from the back section of the sports page to covering the front of newspapers and vaulting not only into the mainstream media of sports, but of all media. You can go around the globe, Carmen Sandiego style, and ask people who may not even be interested in golf, and I bet they know who Tiger Woods is, and I bet they know what sport he plays. And for me to make that claim, we have to look at what Tiger has done in a couple of different buckets. It's not just one thing. The money, the popularity, and the winning. We know Tiger Woods is still chasing Jack in Majors 1, but he has destroyed pretty much everything else golf has to offer to try and win. His made cut streak will never be broken. His clutch shots in huge moments, and his overall intimidation factor on the course that has seen opponents wilt like a dying flower or their last name was Chamberlain. He's changed the way players approach the game from a distance standpoint as well. His drives are incredible to watch and have set him up for more success than a senator's kid. And it isn't just one facet of the game that Tiger can lean on either. His wedge game is surgical. His ability to scramble is Lamar Jackson-esque, and his putting is more buttery than a Land O'Lakes factory. The money he has made for not only himself, but for the game of golf is amazing to look at as well. He burst onto the scene signing a $40 million deal with Nike and a nice little $3.5 million deal with Titleist. To put that in perspective, when he signed that Nike deal, no golfer had ever made $5 million annually on the PGA Tour. Another staggering figure, in 1996, only 10 golfers had ever made $7 million or more over the course of their career. Fast forward to 2016, and there was 218. Tiger made golf cool and fresh. His celebration antics were adopted by not only middle-aged men playing with their buddies on the weekend, but also the youth all over the globe. Many tournament winners recently credit wanting to get into golf because of watching Tiger Woods. It went from an old man's game to a new man's venture. Tiger's going to play this weekend at Augusta, and who knows how he'll do. But in reality, it doesn't matter. He's already done enough and way more for the game of golf. Bring in our co-hosts here, David Cohn, Blaine Crain, and to me, it's a pretty easy argument, guys. Again, Babe Ruth in baseball, unbelievable. But you've had a bunch of guys in baseball. You can say Jackie Robinson and breaking the color barrier and stuff like that. Tiger Woods, you can say the same thing. Mm-hmm. When you look at what he has done for the whole game, and I talked about those buckets, and you could just look at the popularity alone. Is there another athlete out there through the course of time in sports, really, outside of the guys that invented the sport, of course, mm-hmm. that have had this type of effect, or even close?
So, like, driven more people to us.
Driven more people, winning, popularity, money, the salary. I don't think it's close.
I don't think so. I would say no. And there is something to it being an individual sport where it kind of it lends to that a little bit more. As much as I love Babe Ruth and Tom Brady and Michael Jordan, I think that when you look at a sport like golf, he was able to drive more people to it than any other sport, even more so than Federer was able to do to tennis, mm-hmm. or more than Ali was able to do to boxing. So if that's the parameter that we want to use, then yes, I think so. And anybody who would say Tiger Woods is the greatest athlete or most important or however we want to phrase it, I don't think that you can really argue against that too well.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, again, you know, in the basketball, we and this is just like the greatest players ever, Blaine. You have the argument with MJ and LeBron. Mm-hmm. You know, you look in other sports, and it's hard to compare different eras. But when you look at golf, Tiger Woods has done more for the game of golf than Jack Nicklaus ever did, than Arnold Palmer ever did than Francis Ouimet, Bagger Vance, or anybody ever did.
The thing with Jack is he had Arnold Palmer and Gary Player. Like, it was like a three-headed hydra all at the same time, taking majors off of one another.
Somewhat similar to tennis.
Very similar to what Federer, Nadal, and Djokovic are all doing right now, which is what makes it so exciting. But Tiger stood above all of his competitors. I mean, Phil got close, and David Duval, tried to make runs here and there. But people were taking Tiger against the field legitimately in every major that he played in since '97. Seriously, I mean,
no, it's unbelievable.
It is unbelievable.
Blaine, what do you think?
I really want to disagree with you guys, but it's kind of hard.
It's hard.
Because we don't fake
to bring
stuff
more
on this
people
show.
to the sport. I think the closest one would be Muhammad Ali
You think so?
for what he did for boxing at the time and kind of his antics, float like a butterfly, sting like a bee, hands
He
down.
kind of brought the same
feet
swag a little
running.
bit that Tiger brought.
But I think, a name that'll get remembered more forever is Babe Ruth. I mean, Babe Ruth, made home runs cool. Was making more than the president at the time.
Well, shoot, a lot of people.
I was reading something the other day in the war. Let me find this real quick. In World War II, Japanese troops would charge American troops and sometimes yell "to hell with Babe Ruth."
That's
in
a different level.
That's
of,
hatred.
Yeah, I don't think anybody in
heroes get
Afghanistan
remembered,
was
but
running our
legends
guys
never
screaming
die.
Tiger,
In the words of Sandlot.
But
For doing more for a sport, Tiger has probably, I would say Muhammad Ali is the closest to Tiger, but the biggest name in sports ever will be Babe Ruth.
I disagree. I could argue that Jackie Robinson did more for baseball than Babe Ruth did.
No.
I really could. I really could. Look at the numbers, too. Now, I know, look, Babe Ruth, too, guys. We're playing at a time where I'm not saying they're bad, but it's not even close to what you're seeing nowadays. Babe Ruth used to eat 9 hot dogs a day and go play a game.
But
Like, you can't do that in today's game as competitive.
You can't count that against him at the time.
I'm not-
All he could do was stand above his closest competitors the most that he could, the way Tiger has as well.
Well, he probably could have beat Joey Chestnut in a hot dog eating contest. But I'm talking about the overall in aggregate, because it's not just a one thing. It's not just what makes Tiger Tiger. It's not just one thing. It's all of it. It's the dominance on the course, which the stretch that he had, unbelievable. Like you said, people were not only taking him against the field, but cashing out against the field, ruining other guys' careers.
Yeah.
I mean, I can go down the list of guys that would look at Tiger, and if it was on Sunday, you might as well pack it up and go home, buddy,
For sure.
because he'd beat you mentally before you ever got to the course. Now, I know he's had off the course problems and stuff like
injuries.
that.
That's what I was going to say.
And injuries, but I mean,
the injuries.
the money in golf now, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. The eyes on golf, ridiculous. You go back and look at how much golf changed from a people tuning in standpoint from 96 to 2006, and you would have thought that, that they were having the craziest things on TV with some of the ratings that they were getting. So I just think in aggregate, Tiger, in my opinion, has been the most important athlete to a certain sport that there has ever been. Hey, if you like what you heard and you want to hear more, go on over to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher. Check out Crain & Company live every day from 2 to 3 Central, where you can hear us spit it straight.